like get into and watch yourself?
Pretty much all of it, to be honest. I mean, the way I do things, it varies between people who head up acquisitions. Some people will base it purely off what the sheets say or what the trailer's like. I won't name names on it. There's some who will base it off what they like. They don't really stop to look at what everyone else likes, which results in some interesting choices. In my case, I base it, like Durara was a choice. I loved Meccano beforehand, and so when I saw it was by Durara, it was by the same author who wrote the book, the same team who animated Meccano, it was kind of a no-brainer. And so I actually pre-licensed that before it came out on Japanese TV. And you wouldn't believe the relief you feel when you go around Tokyo Anime Fair just after it started airing and say, this is our latest acquisitions, because they always want to know what else you've acquired recently to kind of gauge where you're going with your titles and such and what your portfolio is like. So when I said Durara, they were like, really? That's really good here just now. And having to mask the fact that you're relieved at this and go, yeah, I know. Because it very much often with licensing a title, you're taking a gamble every time. And to an extent, I mean, people like Write Stuff, for example, Sean's always explicitly said, every title they pick is his choice, and it's a gamble on his part. So if it goes wrong, it's his fault and no one else's.
Yeah, well, that's a great point, because I heard a rumor one time, I don't know if it's true, so I'll leave it just as a comment as a rumor, but I heard a rumor that ADV passed on Full Metal Alchemist. And then I heard a rumor that they passed before that on Dragon Ball.
No, they didn't.
I don't know if it's true, but if Funimation never produced another bit of anime ever, they could still stay in business with Dragon Ball. I mean, it's just that big. Yeah, good move.
It's calls like that where you never know quite if you're going to be lucky, and part of that is, I mean, I'm pretty certain Sean does the exact same thing I do, which is either watch it first or he has some prior experience of the universe in question that he's buying it from, to judge it based on. I mean, obviously based on how certain types of things sold as well, but ultimately at the end of the day, if you don't watch the stuff, I mean, I don't like every title I've watched in my lineup. I mean, I wasn't a fantastic fan of Fantastic Children, for example. However, I love shows like Planet S. I mean, but you can gauge sometimes the show. It's the difference between as well being able to tell if just because you don't like it, will it sell or not, as well. And sometimes there will be shows you license that you detest. I won't name any names on this one on my list, but you know they will sell massively in exchange. So it's kind of important to get into it if you're licensing it, I feel, but opinion differs sometimes.
And I'm not involved in the marketing end like Andrew, but when you direct a show, you always become, when you work on a show too, but especially when you direct it, you become very attached to the show, and you really start to think, this is like the greatest anime ever. And it could be anything. I mean, the very first show I ever directed was a little bitty show, 13 episodes, called Wandava Style. It was this fun little show about 4 girls in a rock band who works for this little boy genius who wants to fly them to the moon because he doesn't believe anyone's ever been to the moon before. It was a silly little show, but I was like, dude, it's the greatest show ever. And I had so much fun working on it, but I didn't really do much. And then I worked on a show later on called Air Gear. There you are, you see? And I was like, this is the greatest show ever. Much better than Wandava Style. And but that was fun. And then I did another show right after that. My last show to direct was called Welcome to the NHK. Again, it was just like, this is great, man. How can people not love this? And it's a roll of the dice, It depends what the people like and what they want. And I mean, who would have ever thought that Robotech was going to be what it was? And so.
NHK is a hard show to get into as well.
It is a hard show to get into, but and it's it's tough too, because it really is sort of poking fun at the industry.
It is.
It's so it's a little, can be a bitter pill to swallow. But I worked on that show. I directed Chris Patton and Greg Ayers, who are two of the finest voice actors, other than me. Kidding. We just had such a blast working on that show, and somebody asked me earlier in the autograph session, do you ever change dialogue or rewrite and stuff like that? And on that show we did, because it was my last show, and I thought, well, I can't get fired. I'm being fired anyway because it's my last show. So, but we did. We had a lot of fun and rewrote and threw in some little zingers here and there that if you watch it, you would hear it. You may not pick it up the first time, but it was a lot of fun to do. So, anyway, glad to know you all like it. Yes? Yes? I do know many voice actors. Well, Chris Patton and Greg Ayers, Vic Mignogna, Jason Douglas, Johnny Young Bosch, Colleen Clinton-Beard, Lucy Christian, Monica Rial, and that's about it. No, I know a bunch more. Mike McFarland. I know Chris Sabat. Yep.
Do you know Tara and Jury?
Who?
Tara Platt, do you?
I don't. Is she?
They're more LA based.
Oh yeah, more LA based. There really are two factions in the States. There's your LA, well, there's three in North America. There's LA, Canada, and Texas. Those are the three big hubs for anime. But some actors get called, like Vic now lives in LA, but because he's Ed, they have to bring him back to Texas, so he works in LA and Texas. Spike Spencer, you know Spike Spencer? I think he's going to be here next year, or not, in a couple of months in October. He lives in LA now, so yeah, but I know quite a few. But it's Todd Habercorn, another one I know. It's interesting though, we never work together. We don't, when we record by ourselves with the director and the engineer. So we don't actually work with other actors at the same time. We come in and work separately. It's kind of you meet people all the time. Oh, you're you. Nice to meet you. Thank you. So. Anyone else? Yep, in the back.
What's your favorite part about being a voice actor? Is it being paid just to stand there and talk for the day, or is it being practiced?
My favorite part about being a voice actor is sitting in this chair talking to you. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not kidding, man. This is my favorite part. And not because I need my ego stroked. But I just, I've made a commitment to myself. I have not done many conventions. Partly because, I'm married and have kids, and it's hard to get away for a weekend. But I made a commitment that back in May at Anime North in Toronto, I decided, I'm going to try to go to as many cons in the next 12 months as I possibly can. Because I really would like to meet people like you, and people like you. Not so much you, no. Especially you.
How many cons are you up to now?
How many what?
In your 12 months, how many cons are you up to now?
1. But I figure Ireland, that's a pretty good start, I've set the bar really high. Actually, I was thinking I was going to go to Las Vegas, but it turns out that would be the day after I get back from Ireland. And my wife was like, no, I don't think so. So, but I'm going to try to do at least 1, maybe 2 a month. And, the thing is, though, my 12 months probably really won't start until January, because most conventions already have their guest list booked by now, because they try to get this stuff set. They've already got next year's guests for here lined up. So I'm hoping I can maybe squeeze myself in. But they have some good guests coming next year. Scott McNeil. Oh, maybe I should have said that. And what's the other one they said?
Provisionally, things could probably
yes,
change.
Everything could change. Well, yeah, it could change. Chris Patton was supposed to be here, and he had to cancel at the last minute due to some voice work. But I'll go home and give him a big hug from all of you. Question over there.
As a kid.